Today on Producer Points, we welcome a Norwegian music visionary who's commanding the global stage. With over 1 billion streams to his name, he's a powerhouse behind numerous global hits. His journey from the scenic beauty of Norway to the heart of LA's music scene reflects his dynamic, compelling productions. Collaborating with artists like Bella Poarch, Salem Ilese, Tomorrow by Together, Bendik Møller, Pussy Riot, and Sam Feldt, he's demonstrated his knack for crafting hits that resonate worldwide. Join us to explore the stories and skills behind his success. Welcoming Bendik Møller.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming.
Just want to say I haven't released a song with Tomorrow by Together, but I have performed with them.
Oh, you have performed with them. All right. I can also just skip over that too. But I like this banter better. See, look, you look up on like Genius and stuff, and you're just like websites, and I'm like, all right, I think I got all this down. But it's hard. It's always hard to like double check and know.
Yeah, no,
for sure.
It's so weird these days. So.
Yeah, it's all right. It's like everyone's teams are also like putting on like different things. Where
no.
I've like read what my team says, like who I've worked with and what I've done. I'm like, it's a stretch, but sure. Like,
yeah, no, and I've seen they put some names on there that was like sessions that was booked and then got canceled, and then just like
whatever's gonna make you feel good about writing my little 4-sentence thing to get me in sessions with people. But it's like, I don't know. I think that's such like a funny little like music only, or even like maybe actors only thing, where we have like people advocate for us.
Yes.
Versus, normal people like advocating for themselves and writing cover letters and all those other fun things.
No, I've been laughing a lot about how many times my college made me like write a resume.
Yeah.
And then just to get to the industry and then have someone else write it for me. And
now you can have AI write it for you.
And I probably spent like hundreds of dollars just if you're just like thinking about like tuition. Like this hour we're going to write a resume that you're never going to use.
This industry is very, very small.
Yes.
Which is... it always like is mind blowing.
Surprisingly small.
Very, very, very small. Everyone knows each other, or everyone knows of someone, and then it's like
it's like one link away.
Yeah. And speaking of LinkedIn, our LinkedIn is fucking Instagram.
Oh yeah, no.
It's so
I've never had it.
You've never had Instagram? Where you're like,
I had a LinkedIn.
Oh,
LinkedIn,
I had it years ago. Like when I graduated college, I still have it, and it's there because I just never thought to delete it.
But truly, it's also like the teams. It's the real connector.
Right.
Sure, I have a few people hit me up on Instagram here and there that I end up working with, but most of the time it's like emails.
But it's also like, I don't know if you do this, but I do this, and I know almost every other songwriter and producer, once like you're put in a session with someone, like you quickly check their Instagram. That's what everyone tells me. That's why it's like I'm so hesitant. I want to delete Instagram. Yeah. Because I'm so addicted to like that and TikTok.
I see.
Especially with like Reels, it's like it just like gets me.
But you're the voice of the people. You're the voice of the industry.
Oh God. Well, I want to be able to like do the videos and like do this, but like not like they don't make it easy to do like post on like desktop.
Yeah.
Where if I could just post on desktop and not have it on my phone, I would do it. But you don't have access to all the features to post on there.
Yes.
So it's just like annoying. So I have to have it on my phone. I'm constantly deleting it.
Yeah, no.
It's so bad, man.
I deleted TikTok fully.
Yeah. I did for a while. Now that I'm started this podcast, I put it back on my phone. So it's just like, it won't go away. But I want to know about your background and how you got into music and how you made your way from Norway to here. Like, there's not too many Norwegian producers around. I know slowly there's more coming up. But what was the background? Was music in the family, or how'd you find it?
My aunt used to play in a pop band in Norway. She's been around, been a musician her whole life.
That's amazing,
the real thing. But yeah, it was definitely like they had a hit song in like 90s.
Oh, that's awesome.
Did a tour, and I think they toured Japan as well. But besides that, it's just been hobby level music at dinner parties. And, it was kind of like the standard route of, start playing guitar early and started playing in bands from when I was like 9, 8.
What kind of bands were you in at that young?
It was like a put together band by the school that I would go to.
Oh, I had that kind of thing too when I was younger. I'm so thankful I had that.
Oh yeah. No,
more things should be like that.
And then we forced the whole family to sit and suffer through me dancing on a stage.
That's it. What kind of music was it?
It was like old like rock, like Enter Sandman, like kind of stuff the
good stuff
that the kids could play. Like, a little bit.
So from the bands there, what got you into doing pop music? Did you go to school, or where'd you go from there?
Yeah, so I went to a high school that was very specialized in music, and they focused a lot on classical music, actually, which I was like, rock and roll. So that was kind of like what I was trying to do. At one point, this kid who had dropped out of high school to go to Harvard, but he came back from Boston after his 1 year of living in the States, and he had taken Logic classes. So he started showing us like Logic. At first, we kind of was still playing in like, I think like 3 bands at that point. Right. And it's like, oh, this would be a great tool to make like keyboard synths and stuff. And then eventually, I think we started like copying Zed and Avicii and stuff, and just realized, whoa, this is hard.
I remember, it's kind of around the same time. I was like, I was doing a lot of sync stuff, and someone was like, yeah, we're looking for like a lot of like Zed, Avicii stuff. Yeah. And I was like, I can do that. Nope. Like,
I am certain, because Kygo, I'm probably going to get shit for this,
whatever.
But I'm so certain, because he grew up fairly close to me. I'm certain his sound came from him trying to sound like Avicii.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then just like couldn't get the drops right, because I was sitting there like trying to get the drops to hit hard, and it was just freaking impossible.
Yeah, and, I mean, such a loss.
But yeah, no, so try to copy Avicii. And quickly realized that all the nonsense that I've been like spitting and all the shit I've been talking about pop music up until that point, which was the first like 17 years of my life, was didn't like really add up, or I wasn't as brilliant as I thought I was. And quickly just kind of started. I loved it, like when I've got Logic, because I love being on my computer. Oh. And I love just kind of like laying in bed on my computer. And this gave me the ability to do something like productive while I was laying in bed on my computer. So like instead of watching as much Netflix, still watch that. Hey. But I felt productive laying there and had a lot of fun with it. Yeah. So I got into Berklee College of Music. Up until I was like 18, I did not know you could be a producer and songwriter behind the scenes. Kind of. I thought you had to be if you want to be a songwriter, you also had to be an artist.
It's so funny how you just don't know that exists until someone tells you.
And then producer to me was kind of like engineer, like studio engineer. Right. And I knew I did not want to be a studio engineer. That was kind of, I didn't want that. And so then when I started applying to colleges, I kind of started reading up on the alumni, and they told me, whoa, you can be a songwriter and producer. And I was like, that's exactly what I want, because I hate performing. I hate like, I had like tried to convince myself, and I'd convinced everyone around me that I like liked performing, but boy, did I not like it. Like,
here's a question. Did you not like performing, or did you not like touring?
No, performing. Oh, like I would, because I was like lead singer kind of thing. Okay. And I would be there, my mind would be like, I've done this 100 times. Yeah. And then my foot would start like shaking. Oh, wow. And then my voice would start shaking, and I just like had to like try to hide it with a smile. it's like I do not like this feeling. No. This feeling is not for me. Oh my God. And I remember being so jealous of like the bass player, because I was like, no one pays really attention to the bass player, and he can just be on the stage and no one will know it's
live in a band is so much fun. And I know you've done it.
I've done it.
I've done it with my old bands, and it's just like...
I got to learn later that every suspicion I had was 100% correct. Like, being the bass player is the best. Yeah. You
get to have fun. Yeah. No pressure, almost.
And these days, you have like the sub in the track anyways. Like,
well, you're just there. Yeah. That's amazing. So from Berklee, you go there. Do you actually graduate?
I did graduate.
There you go.
Yeah. International have to graduate.
Oh, right, to get that
OPT, stay in the country.
That's always one of the funniest things about Berklee, where it's like so many people just like, I was there for a year or two, and then like bolted, and it's like, whatever.
No, I remember really wanting to leave after year 2. Yeah, because then
Why do you think that is? That like so many people are just like, I'm good.
It fully depends, like who you get in with. So like I remember becoming friends and working with. They were slightly like more senior. Right. And then they all graduated and moved to LA. Right. And then they were all like, come to LA.
Right. It's like, we're here.
Yeah. It's just like, we're the ones you're working with. Right. So then the next year I had to kind of re-find collaboration partners and build again. Build anew.
Build again. Yeah. Right. That makes sense. Yeah. I always I noticed that, but I never could really point a finger as to why, except I just figured like, oh, like a manager or a publisher found you.
Yeah,
or,
no.
You know, and they were like, yeah, come on out. Like, let's just go, you know. I love that. And now you're here, you're doing the thing. What I've been asking every producer that's been on the pod is, what's your usual day like? What's your workflow? How are you getting bounces out? You start with any one of those many questions I just
Yeah, no, actually, I think one of the biggest things for me, like that I always keep updating, is my schedule, like or my system. Because back in college, my answer would be stay up until 4 a.m.
Right.
Like,
you can't do that.
Whatever.
Once you hit like 25.
Not even that. Like, it's like once you just move here,
right,
and realize I'm gonna hopefully do this for the next 15, 20 years.
Right.
I can't be up until 4 a.m. every night. And like, I know there are a producer out there who does it, and it's just very impressive.
No.
But no, for me, I actually found it more efficient for me to. So my songwriting sessions, I'm sure yours too, normally start at 1 p.m.
Right.
And then pretty fast. It's normally done around 6.
Yeah.
5 to 6. And then instead of like finishing up the bounce, I just go home.
Good.
Leave it. And then I come back early the next morning. So then I do like, try to get in around like 10, sometimes 11. And then I start producing what I did the day before. Normally I found that cuts down the time, because then I have fresh ears. I hear, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. And you just hear everything that's wrong with it.
Yeah.
And then you fix it, and then you send it off.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I tell most people, they're like, can I get a bounce right now? It's like, just please let me have a day away from this.
Yeah.
Like, my ears are dead.
Absolutely.
I was working before you guys got here. Like,
it's
I'm
awful.
tired.
Like, you know? How quickly you lose objectivity.
Yeah.
It's
when you've been listening to the same thing all day.
Not even that. Like, for me at least, it's like if I focused on a snare or something.
Oh, yeah.
The snare just sounds so much louder than the rest. So then I turn it down way too much. And then it's like...
you come back the next day, you're like, oh, that was a horrible...
Where's the snare? I thought I had a snare yesterday. Yeah.
It's been the great thing about having a kid, whereas I've always been the guy that I've always tried to end by like 6, 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm always down to keep going if we're like on something really great.
Yeah.
I never want to shut off that magic.
No.
And I still don't. But just having a kid and just being like, yeah, guys, I gotta go have dinner.
It's great.
You know, it's great. And like everyone really respects it.
Yeah.
But speaking of getting that quick bounce, like do you have a template going? Like, how are you able to work quickly to get a bounce that you feel really good about to send to the artist team and the songwriters teams?
I never felt really good about it. Like, no, it's just something I feel like I've chopped away at forever.
Right.
I used to have like to need at least a full separate day to just produce it up before sending it out, which became really hard when you did 5 sessions a week.
Yeah, I don't do 5 sessions a week anymore.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
So the issue with that was like I would maybe get 1 bounce out of it that I sent off from doing 5 sessions a week. Yeah, and then once I started doing 2 sessions a week, I got to 2 bounces a week. So I was like, this is twice as effective.
Right.
Like, yeah.
It's I think that's a thing that producers sometimes need to hear, where it's like songwriters can write 5 times a week, if not more, because they're in and out. They don't have to do anything else. And it's like producers, it's like, yeah, man, like you're fighting a quality versus quantity battle.
Completely.
And if you're doing sessions 5 days a week, you know, every week, you're not getting every bounce out.
No.
Or you're not getting every bounce out that's quality.
Yeah.
It's just, there's no fucking way. I don't know how you do that.
No, it's crazy. Yeah, no. I started like, and it's also like by the quantity game, you almost have to choose, should I take part of the writing?
Right.
Or should I just be sitting and making productions?
Yeah.
So like my system for a long time was I would just fully write the song.
Right.
Like acoustic guitar almost. And maybe lay down like some ideas that I would have.
Yeah.
But basically after day 1, all I would have would be like a voice memo almost.
Right.
Like I recorded the vocals, but it wouldn't be much more impressive than that. So I know then if I send this out, like no one's going to care. Like,
I will say though, they're like some of my biggest cuts, the songs where I'm more focused on the song that day, and I'll just come and just do what I call a top line version. And for our listeners, a top line version is a song that it's just vocals and it may be piano or guitar or 1 or 2 other elements, like something very, very simple. And I've had so much success like that because I think it gives people almost like a job. with like, ooh, I knew this was great before it was done. And like, you know, they get to give their 2 cents, which I'll not always ignore, but most of the time I'll ignore, where it's like, I have a vision for it, I just haven't done it yet. Like now I'm just so much more precious with my time that I'm very, very choosy about what I'm really going to go in on.
Yeah, same.
You know, I'd rather just get you like a really strong top line version that shows what the song is, the vocal sounds great.
Yeah.
And do the thing. With your workflow though, how stacked is your mix bus? Are you doing food group busing? What kind of stuff are you doing there to, again, try? I think the thing that a lot of producers are asking about when I started this is how are people working quickly? And I think that's, in my opinion, part of the success, but I'm curious what you do.
Yeah, it's templates.
Yeah.
Like it's, I use Ableton, so I kind of just, there's like a search bar on the side where it just says master template and then just, but I never use templates for all the other stuff. Right. So the only thing I use templates for is my vocal chain and the master bus and some like delays, and I'm starting to update those too. But
it's always a process.
It's always a process, yeah. But just having the artist record vocals in and then it sounds great back out.
Right.
And I'm kind of like, I've always been a fan of making it sound like the final project as I'm working.
Right.
So I leave my master bus on for like most of the session.
Yeah,
like,
I think a lot of people are starting to do that more often now.
And I've had to make some sacrifices because of that. Like, or not sacrifices, I think it's a good thing.
It's just a different workflow.
So everything I do is analog.
Oh, okay.
More or less. Like I don't really use VSTs that much unless I like need something very specific.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's incredible.
So it's like I have a Prophet, which is like most of the synths and stuff like that. Also like a Moog and bass guitar, whatever. So almost everything I do is analog now, simply because I don't want to deal with latency. It just
sounds better, and it makes, when you have good sounds going in, it makes your job easier.
So much easier. Yeah, no, I used to spend forever trying to make a Prophet VST sound like a Prophet. Like
it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
I hate to tell you.
It sounds cool, but it's like, it's
not the same.
It's not the same.
It doesn't have those like rich low mids that a Prophet has.
Yeah. So literally almost, I would say 95% of all my productions are just analog.
Is it just going straight into like an Apollo or something? Or are you running it through any gear?
No, not yet. Yeah. But I'm planning on doing that this year. I'm trying to buy some reverb to build paddles or something. Like
it's fun. I'm literally I have my pedal board for my guitar right there, and I was just talking to, I have a text chain with a couple other producer buddies, and I think I'm gonna finally hook up my guitar pedals and stuff.
Yeah. Oh,
so I know. I've been like wanting to do it for a while, and I was just like, all right, I'll finally do it.
It's so cool. Yeah, no, I had a session in Norway recently where the guy is just running it through like just like a big Sky, like, and it just sounds so sick. Yeah, same sense as I have, just so much better.
But it's just like I don't know, it just does a thing, and like whether it's Sugar Pill or not.
Yeah, no,
you know?
no. No, but I think I used to be so terrified of messing up a recording to the point where I couldn't fix it later.
Yeah. So
for the longest time, still partly to this day, it's like I'm very hesitant of running vocals, for instance, through compressors.
Yeah.
Because I've been in so many situations in studios where people think they have control and they don't. And it's just, you can just hear the vocal is overcompressed, and it's...
I think that's accurate when you're working in spots that you're not comfortable with.
Yes.
And I used to think like that too, where I was like always like, oh, like what if I compress too hard? But now like, this is my gear. I know how it sounds. I know I can trust it. And it's like, I'm hitting my shit pretty hard.
Do you know what freaking amazes me?
What?
It's how there is not, like, you know, those like big studios, like with like the big mixer boards and stuff like that no one has made. Please, someone make it. Just one like rack that is just input for microphone.
Oh yeah.
Because like right now it's like, oh, if you want to use a microphone, you have to use this like Chandler thing, and that's how you like adjust the volume and gain. But if that breaks, there is no way to. Then you have to plug into the EQ, and then you're running it through that.
I loathe working in studios that aren't my own. I really like don't like it. And I've learned over the years now that it's like, if I'm doing like a K-pop camp or something, or I'm not even K-pop, just a camp that they're like, oh, we're at a studio and we got an engineer. I just don't give a fuck anymore, because I've never had, and I want an engineer to prove me wrong one day, because I know there's incredible engineers out there, but I've never had a good experience when an engineer at one of these camps is recording a vocal. Like every time I get it and I'm like, this sounds like absolute trash. And then when I do it, I'm like, also, mind you, I know it's because I have a different taste than the engineer and I want what I want.
Also, your plugins is probably set to your ways of like...
I mean, now that I have my chain, like all I really put on my vocals is Pro Q and Pro MB, and like that's it. That's been the best thing about having a great chain.
Yeah, no, for reals.
So you're in a session, and people get there, and they want to go out for lunch, or they're from out of town and they're looking for places to eat.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite places to recommend or bring people?
Ooh, it's very funny. I'm not really a big foodie.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not. It's like, for me, it's more about the location and like who you're with. Those people. Like, like I can be so happy eating McDonald's at a beach. Like,
but anyone can be happy eating at McDonald's.
Yeah,
it's the happiest place on earth.
Yeah, like no boo doesn't make me happier in any sense. But I would say the exception to the rule is this Italian place called Uovo.
Oh, I think I was literally just by there today. Because I went to Sugarfish.
Oh,
that's right there today.
Yeah, I think they I think the owner of Sugarfish owns Uovo.
Oh, really?
I think so.
That's
so you can't make a reservation.
Yeah, okay.
And so you just have to show up and wait.
Like, and just wait.
Yeah.
I've heard good. Literally, I just heard about it today.
So they fly out. They were passed on passenger planes every day from Italy, and just objectively, it's the greatest piece of pasta.
I have to go. I have
probably get in the States. Yeah.
We're gonna move on to the song discussion. Part of this, and the first song I want to talk about is "Mad at Disney" by Salem Ilese. You know, what's the story behind it? How'd that all come to fruition?
Yeah, no, it was kind of once we'd moved to LA, we were sessioning around and kind of doing the speed dating round, which we. Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. Got to do it.
Meet people and you say yes to every session that anyone throws your way. We had a session with this guy who actually went to Berklee and I had kind of worked with Jason Haas. Yeah, we were trying to figure out what to write. Right. And me and Salem had a very systematic way of writing where we try to figure out what to write about before digging too much into anything. Yeah, we had this conversation about, I think Jason said he was mad at Disney at one point and that's a funny title.
Yes.
Or that's a funny concept. And it's funny too because we actually, like, the chorus about that song, what we were really discussing was like, what is the feeling of love?
Right.
Because you've felt like you've been like felt sad love, like sadness. It's also happiness. It's also, so we kind of came up with the conclusion that like love is probably all the emotions combined, and that's what we really set out to make the song about. And then we wrote a version. We got a lot of nice response from the industry. We weren't like that excited about it, to be honest. Like at the first,
I remember when Salem showed it to me a couple months before it came out, or I don't remember how long it was, but it was before it came out. I was like, this is good. Like, this is special.
So it was we had like a early version. I'm not sure if you heard that.
I don't remember which one I heard. I just remember like whatever she showed me, I was like, this is your best song that you've written so far.
So we came back from winter break or something, and we had almost like a full EP planned out, but we needed, because we were kind of on a roll with Spotify where they would put us on New Music Friday and stuff like that. So we kind of just needed one more song to just throw out before like the...
For our listeners really quickly, that Spotify, they really encourage you to keep releasing things. They want to see that you have more releases coming out. So that's what Bendik was saying, where they were putting us on New Music Friday. They kind of expect you to keep putting shit out.
Yeah. No, it's I feel like the thing that happened way too often is people like putting one song out and then it does surprisingly well and then there's nothing to follow it up with, and then the pressure adds on, and then a year or two later they put their next song out, and it's like,
and then the algorithm's like, "Oh, we thought you were dead."
Yeah,
you're not dead.
Like 2 years. Yeah, thought you were tired of that one song. Yeah, so I remember like we said, okay, let's do Mad at Disney. Like the industry at least seems to like it so much. Might be something to it.
And did you? Was she signed at that point, or you guys were doing it all self-release at that point?
Yeah, this was all self. She had her manager at the point.
Right.
Yeah. So I was kind of like, okay, if we're gonna release it, let's make it into a product that we like.
Right.
And then we went back in with Jason and we rewrote by his suggestion to rewrite the second verse, make it slightly lean more towards Disney themed. And then at one point, I still wasn't like fully sold on the production, so I took over the stems and kept the best and did some other stuff.
That's it. That's the great thing about co-producing.
It's great. Yeah.
It's when you can go back and forth. And
someone always has like does something way better than you. Yeah. And so you get to keep those things and then add the stuff.
Yeah. So I'm glad we're getting to the production there. So what was that like? Did Jason start the production and the session, and then you finished? So of all the songs that you've written and produced, like that's my favorite production of yours. Like the on that song, all the little background vocals and the string parts that are kind of like in unison there are really great. What string parts, like were those real strings? Were they samples? Do you remember how you did those guys?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Because they sound great.
Thank you. Yeah. No, so it's actually funny because I don't know if have you been around like the classical kids a lot, like classical music. It's like a lot of them joke about the viola.
Yeah.
How that's kind of like a necessary part of the orchestra, which is so for me. I remember when I started making that, I was kind of like in this mindset, like I want to do kind of the opposite of what everyone is doing. So when I chose like the main string, I chose the viola.
Wow.
But then I couldn't make it sound the way, because I wanted it to be like very dynamic. I wanted to kind of go like dun 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 dun, and kind of like the top note be like more.
Right.
And I wasn't a good enough producer yet to like do that. Like. With my skills, so I used layering. So I added a kick and made a kick soft. So it's like the pluck and like the meat of the pluck is actually just like a subtle kick.
Right. So you're basically using the kick to get that like transient punch in there.
Yeah,
that's really clever.
Because I knew what I wanted, but I just couldn't do it myself.
But you did do it yourself.
Yeah. No, I couldn't do it just with that one track.
That's the best thing about like those early production days where you're just like. You end up coming up with really creative things where you're like, I don't fucking know how to do this. Like, and then you just like...
My process has always been just make it like whatever it takes.
Yeah.
That's kind of...
That's really... Like, and was it like a string VST or was it a sample? What was...
Yeah, it was Splice.
Splice.
Yeah. So I just found like sounds on Splice that I liked. And I still do that. So, but
that's incredible.
I chopped every single individual one in. Yeah. Which takes a lot of time.
Yes.
And same with like the string arrangements with the long strings. It's just splice. So I would take like one splice of the, say, the cello, and I'll be like, I want the cello to be this note. And then I'll find a cello sample that is like the same with a different note. And like,
that's incredible, man.
And it takes a long time. And I do it in way too many productions.
But you know, it doesn't sound like it's a bunch of different samples. Like you really melded it together.
Yeah.
Really well. Because ever since I've heard that song, I was always curious what those strings were. Because I'm like, man, did he just happen to find like a really good like arrangement of string samples that work perfectly for the song?
No.
And no, you did the really hard thing.
Yeah, literally chopping it up. And,
so you chopped it up, but did you like, you found a sample for each note, or did you like pitch shift any in Ableton or Logic or whatever?
I definitely pitch shift some.
Yeah.
But I did actually in that one try to, because I did this one in Logic.
You did that one in Logic?
Yeah, I did my Disney Logic. Yeah. Maybe I should get back to the Logic.
I remember you telling me a while ago that like I knew you worked in Logic at one point.
So it wasn't, at least maybe I didn't figure out how, but the pitching wasn't as good as in Ableton. So in Ableton it's way easier to pitch stuff, at least to my
No, it definitely is.
So I did for that one find I had to make sure I found sample packs that had individual notes that did the same thing.
Right. That's incredible, man. That's really cool. Layering a pluck with a kick like that. That's a really neat little trick.
But
the kick? Was it just saying static with the note, or was the pitch also? I mean, was the kick also being pitched up? If you remember.
Don't think that was pitched. Yeah. I think that was static on the note.
Yeah.
But I did like the dynamic, so I made like the first one very soft.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really smart, man. It's like, you know, if you think about how a piano, or like you say, when you pluck a violin or viola, it's like hitting something and you want that sound in there.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's why like I love like keyscape, where it's like, oh, you can control how much hammer you hear. It just gives it a little bit of extra oomph in there. The other thing that I really love about that song, the drums are really cool, and they sound like a lot of organic samples in there? Do you remember kind of what you were doing?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, because I just forgot about this until now, actually. The thing at the time was trap hats.
Right, yes.
So for me, I've never liked trap hats, and that is like my number one to turn off a song is if there's just started trap hats. I've started to come around a little bit more to it now.
I think there's a time and place, but I'm kind of the same way.
There's a time and place, yeah.
Where I won't do it unless someone specifically asks for it.
So the way my mind was thinking at the time, and still kind of is, but more nuanced, was what is the function of a trap hat? So once I started thinking of instruments as functions more than just an instrument you play, less genre based, more just like what's the function, what does it actually do? At least from my analysis, the trap hats is kind of like they fill out the top end of the frequency spectrum and then they add energy. So in order to make something sound professional, you kind of just fill out the frequency spectrum.
Right.
Well, what I think kind of happened was like the easiest way to make that happen, or one of the easier way to make that happen, is you have like 808s, which fills the bottom. You have the vocals, which fills the middle.
Right.
And then you have the trap hats, which fills the top end. And then it sounds like a professional record.
Right.
It's like, yeah, it's almost cheating.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. So for me, it was like, I wanted to prove that, because the original Mad at Disney had trap hats.
Oh, wow.
From Jason, yeah.
I definitely did not hear that version then.
Yeah. So and I remember debating with Jason, because he was like, but listen, like once you put the, like, and he would like mute the trap hats and
it loses energy.
It would lose energy and
right.
then it would more. And I was like, but you can do that in other ways in the arrangement.
Right.
So I fully made it. So my top process at that time was, how can I get the function out of the different elements that without using it in the most standard way? For instance, like say if you take a riser, how can I make, if I don't add a riser, how can I make the arrangement so that it progresses and it like the chorus hits the same way as a riser, just through arrangement? And then you can add a riser to like, you know, enhance that afterwards. But I wanted like, I didn't want there to be any tricks.
Yeah.
I wanted like the arrangement to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And then once you layer that stuff, then that's cool. So still can't do that. But yeah.
No, it's really clever.
So then it was like, you know, the violin, the top one, that's like filling out like a lot of the higher frequencies.
Right.
And then the drums, I have like a percussion that gives the same energy as the hi-hat.
Right.
I think I only have one hi-hat in that entire song that kind of goes like on the backbeat.
Yep.
And but the rest, all the other like, what fills it out is kind of like the more like almost, it's not bongos, but it's kind of like the...
Yeah, I was curious. Like it just like sounds like little slaps or something. They're fun.
It kind of is. Yeah.
All right, moving on. I wanted to talk about another great song of yours that I didn't realize like how many streams it had.
It's crazy.
It's killer.
Bigger than that, isn't it?
Yeah. I had no, like, I always liked the song, but like, I checked it the other day because I wanted to listen to it again to prepare. And I was like, oh, damn, like, that song's doing well. Is Jamie Miller's Here's Your Perfect.
Yeah.
So what was like the quick story about that?
Yeah, so it was me, Jamie, and Salem. And Jamie was like one of our first sessions in LA when we wrote that song. So I think it was at least our first like major label session.
Okay, so a big deal for you guys at the time.
It was a big deal for us, yeah. So yeah, we wrote the song in my old apartment, and I kind of just produced it up. And the first version I didn't have any piano. It was just strings almost, and drums and
that's surprising
and stuff. Yeah. And per Jamie's request was it was infringing. It was, can you add the piano?
That's a good call.
Yeah, that was a great call. Like I just remember like producing it up. I felt like I was so in love with Jamie's voice. Yeah. It just felt like anything I added just took away from the voice. Yeah.
The final vocal that's on there, is that the one that you recorded?
Yeah.
I mean, I know he's a great singer, but I've listened to other records and I think you treated his vocal especially good, where I think other people have, and I don't get any hate here, but I think other people have kind of overtuned his vocal, and you went really, it sounds really light.
It's all a hand tune, for sure.
You can tell he sounds particularly good on that track.
Uh-huh.
So kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah. I remember like just anything I added, I battled that production like crazy because I felt like anything I added just took away. Yeah. But then I wanted it to be interesting as well. Yeah. And it was definitely a battle, but
I think that's something you learn being a producer, because here's the thing is too, on the podcast, I always try and do one production that's like really cool production and whatever, and then the other production where it's like kind of exactly what you're saying, where as a producer, you have to learn to pull yourself back a little bit and let the song and the artist really shine.
Truly, yeah. I wrestled it like crazy. I remember even just finding, didn't end up staying in it. Like my production kind of trick at the time was at least to try to match the production with lyrics as much as possible. So it would be like, I forget what lyrics, but there was like one lyric hinting to him being in like American Idol or something. No, not American. He was like British Got Talent or something.
Yeah.
So I remember like finding a clip, like spent 2 hours trying to find a clip of like them just introducing him, just being like, give it up for Jamie Miller, and then have the people like the applause. And then I would like layer that into like the original demo. So it would kind of just like feel nostalgic. And, but yeah, and then it was like a big 2 year long fight to get that song released. And
damn, it took that long, yeah.
He was, I will always be thankful for how much he like fought for that song to come out, because it's like he learned piano so that he could play
the song
for the record label and sing it in the room and just be like, guys, like
dude, you hear so many stories like that.
He paid for his own music video.
That's
like just a demo, not the one that came out, which is
just to like show them the vision.
Just to show them the vision.
Yeah, this is like the thing that I try and tell artists who are early on in their career who are signed.
Yeah. No
one knows your art and your best song better than you do.
Yeah.
And the labels they're honestly wrong more often than they are right. I've heard too many stories like that where it was like the label didn't want to do it, they weren't convinced, then the artist like really fights. Then I've heard the same story where it's like the artist or the artist team ponied up some money to like release the song and then it becomes a huge hit.
Yeah.
Like that. And they're my favorite stories.
Those are the ones you love. And then there's always the opposite too.
I know.
Where like the artist doesn't like their song and then
right, but that I can live with. Yeah. When an artist doesn't like the song, I'm like, okay, cool. Like I have a
but then
song
the label is like, oh, put it out, and it's huge. And it's like,
I have a song that's supposed to be coming out with an artist that I'm really excited about, and it's like artist loves it, it's their favorite song. Label does not like it, and I'm like, great, it's gonna be a hit. That is the formula for success. Sorry,
it's so crazy, because like to not release the artist's favorite song, it's absurd. Insane.
It makes no sense to me.
They're the ones who can perform it for like 20 years. Like
want to move on to the next segment here, and I want to ask, what's your current favorite piece of gear in your studio, or your favorite plugin that you're using a lot lately?
So to say, like almost everything is like analog. So I've actually been very careful with what to get. So remember when I went to Berklee, some kid just gave me this like folder of like 1,000 cracked plugins, and you had like access to everything, and I was just so overwhelmed by it. I was like, I don't know what to use. So I deleted all of them.
Damn.
And I was just like, I'm just going to buy one at a time as I need it or feel like I need it. And that's kind of what I've done. So
I'm the exact opposite. I'm so bad.
Almost everything I have, I use.
Damn.
So, and I refuse to buy things unless I know I'm going to use it.
Damn.
The last purchase last year was a Moog sub 37.
Yeah, those guys are great.
Yeah, because it's just like, spent so long trying to get like the electronic basses. Now I don't do that anymore.
Nope.
Yeah.
Like I have my Juno here, and it's like anytime it's like I just know what it's there. It takes me 2 seconds to get.
Yeah.
I don't have to put any plugins on it.
Nothing.
Maybe a high pass.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. How are you playing everything in? Or are you writing MIDI in and then having it being sent to the thing? What's that workflow like for the sub?
So I almost don't use MIDI.
Oh wow. Good for you.
Because it's just a latency issue.
Yeah.
And I want to play things in. So if I don't do any MIDI stuff I do like in the very beginning, unless whatever I need is so important that like then I will write it in or whatever. But it's all just audio committed. Don't move it around afterwards.
That's the way, man.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I think
I used to be terrified of committing, but like every time I've committed, I've never gone back.
Committing
like
is great.
Once.
Committing in many aspects of life is great.
So I commit really quickly.
But I'm the same way where it's like, I don't know, it's just like, it's not like when I have a bunch of analog gear in here that I record through, and I'm just like, I don't know, it sounds good.
Yeah.
Put it in. Like, go for it.
Yeah. So it's, I rarely use MIDIs and samplers or anything like that. I
just have to get out of all our anxiety and just do it.
Yeah.
I know, hearing
Good,
you.
we just solved anxiety. Right? It was great.
All right, so we're on to unfortunately, but also fortunately, the final segment of the show here. And it's a segment that we do on every episode. It's called Plug or Unplug. I name a piece of gear or a plugin, and you tell me plug if you love it, if it's something you use a lot, unplug if it's something that you don't like using or you've used and you're like, not for me, or bypass, which means I've never used it, so I don't know.
Okay. Be a lot of bypass.
I know. After saying that, now I'm nervous. First one, Initial Audio's 808 Studio 2.
Bypass.
It's a good one. That one is, I actually picked that up from Phineas.
What was it called?
Finn used Initial Audio 808 Studio. It's what he uses for most of his 808s.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he got me onto it a couple years ago, and it's
always looking for 808s.
Yeah,
so
it's great because you have a lot of control over it, and they have a lot of great like samples, and you can really control the length and the attack and stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I currently got recently downloaded Ramsoid.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's good.
I have it so whenever I want to buy something, I have it like open in a tab on my phone.
Nice.
And I've been meaning to buy it, and I haven't yet.
For me, that was like the 808 plugin that I was looking for.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm sure the other one probably does the same thing. It's 808. So.
Yeah, they're all for 808s. It's like I just want something like that's fun to play.
Yeah.
And like quick.
I remember I had such anxiety when it came to sub.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you should.
Because
it's the hardest part.
So I got like the worst case scenario that happened, which was I was at this camp. I was representing Berklee. I was at this camp in Amsterdam, and I had 3 basses going on. One in the verse that you weren't really supposed to hear. Came to the chorus, and it was kind of like a Charlie Puth attention kind of bass that we were supposed to hear.
Yeah.
And then to be original, I had made like this huge sub that was going to come in and be like a whoa in the post. And no one told me that this was performed in front of like a team of A&Rs in an orchestral hall.
Oh.
So that bass you weren't supposed to hear was way too loud. I didn't know how to treat bass yet. So I used to be terrified of bass until it's a great moment actually. It was there was this EDM guy who came to walk through his process of making an EDM track at Berklee. Yeah. I was just I normally didn't go through those things, but I went to that one because I was like, he can teach me sub.
Yeah.
If anyone knows, it must be this guy. Yeah. And then he went through all this process, and I was like, come on, get to the good stuff that we care about. He was like, and then I'm going to add a sub. And I was like, yeah, I lit up. And he's like, so I'll just use any sub. It's a sub.
Yeah.
Who cares? Right. And I was just like, cool. This was what I was most anxious about anything in like a record making, and it's a sub. Yeah. Like my mom is not going to not love a record because of the sound of the sub. No. Like
you don't it doesn't have a characteristic. You just feel it. Just make sure it's even. You know, that's it. All right, next plugin, Clevgrand's Bruce Free, which is a noise reducer, sound reducer plugin.
Oh, bypass, but it's
very good. It's I'll use it on this.
I need more noise reduction.
Yeah, it's like it's really good and really fast. I don't think it's like the best of the best.
Okay.
But
I use NS waves.
Yeah, so it's better than that because basically it can like listen to the noise.
Okay.
So basically like you'll just like let's say someone sent you a vocal that you didn't record and there's like a lot of like the AC was on. So it'll like listen to when they're not singing that section, grab the sound of that, and then you can kind of like choose how much or how little of it. And it's quite clean. It's really good. I don't love it on like a vocal so often. I'll do it in cases, like I said, where it's like I didn't record the vocal and I have to save it.
Yeah.
But it's like good for like
guitars and stuff.
Yeah, guitars, or like I use it on the podcast a lot. Nice. Where like sometimes it was like the person was a little too far from the mic and I'm getting too much.
I need this whole as you're sending.
Yeah, there you go.
We bypass on all of them. Yeah.
Okay, this one I'm sure you've used or had. Sound Toys Radiator.
I have actually never used a radiator.
Oh my god!
But I use a lot of Sound Toys.
Yeah, the Sound Toy stuff is great. Yeah. I love Radiator.
Yeah, no. Again, like I buy after need. Yeah. So for me it's but like if there is a brand to recommend, I would say it's Sound Toys.
Yeah, everything they make is
Ultra Boy has been like the signature for my like most of my stuff.
It's been one of the most iconic sounds of pop music the last 10 years.
Yeah,
just that plugin.
Yeah, no, I use it on everything, instruments, on drums.
Yeah. It's great.
Like,
to control like that formant for instruments. It's like I do it on guitars a lot.
Same.
It does a really cool thing.
So cool. Yeah.
Okay, I'm curious if you ever used one of these. Warm Audio's WA2A, their LA2A clone.
I need to see it. Yeah. That sounds familiar. Like
Warm Audio. So Warm
Warm
Audio.
Audio.
Yeah, it's personally, and I don't care if I get a lot of hate about this. I don't like Warm Audio.
Are you thinking about like the mic, or are you?
I mean,
about
anything they make.
Yeah.
I will say that their 47 clone is actually quite good for the price, but I don't like any of their clones of like hardware. I think their mic clones are great, but all the hardware, like to me,
for me, it's always been like with clones. It's like I'm sure it's great, and good enough and everything, but once things hit like $700, you're spending a lot of money,
right?
Regardless, like you might as well just wait a little bit, and you know.
That's why I'm like very picky about the clones. Like I have clones. I talk about them a lot on this podcast, but I think Audioscape is doing incredible things. They're slowly, everyone's getting to start to know them, and it's all made right here in America. Nice. Warm Audio is like all the stuff's made in China now, and you can tell. But that was my spiel about Warm Audio.
Okay.
I think personally, stay away from their hardware. I think the plugins sound just as good, and just spend a little bit, like you're saying, spend a little bit more, get something better.
Yeah.
You know. All right, microphone here, the Neumann TLM 103.
Love. Favorite.
Is that? Do you have that?
Yeah, that's the one I use for everything.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like use it for guitars, use it for everything. Yeah.
That's my favorite, like $1,000 microphone.
Yeah. No,
hands down.
So good.
Yeah. Got any tips or tricks to use it well? Because it can be quite delicate.
When you say delicate, what do you mean?
I mean, like, I have chosen not to use it, and I don't have this problem so much, but like if I'm like traveling and I have that microphone, if I'm in an untreated room, I don't like to use that microphone.
Oh, really?
Because it just like, it picks up everything.
Yeah, it picks up a lot, yeah.
Right. Which sometimes when you're in a treated room, great. I want to hear everything. But there's times when like, you know, someone will send me a vocal that they recorded with a 103 and I know they recorded not in a treated space because it's like, I hear it in a room and I just have to like fix it. And at that point, I'm like, just use an SM7. It's
for me. I've actually avoided buying an SM7.
Yeah,
because I found that demoitis happens a lot.
I don't let people use it.
Yeah,
good. Yeah, I'm telling you.
Same,
I've pissed off a lot of people. I don't think pissed off. I think they eventually thank me.
Yeah,
but one, I don't like doing the writing thing where someone's like, "Oh, can I just get like an SM7 and sing?" I don't write like that, and I very politely tell people, "I was like, can we try and do it my way? And if not, I'll let you do your thing." But I just hate writing like that. Yeah. And two, it's like I have my mic. I leave it on my desk. Yeah. But when people are like, "Oh, can I just put it down quickly?" I'm like, "No, my mic's right there. Yeah. It's 2 feet away. You want to sit? I'll sit."
Yeah.
Great. I can make
exact
the thing.
Same.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's not worth. I've spent too much money on that microphone to not use it. So.
No, but it's also just like so many times the demo vocals, like Jim Miller, the demo vocals is what becomes the final vocal. Yeah. And if that is not recorded properly, it's so hard to convince a team to have their artist come out back, especially if they live in like New York or like come out to like re-record vocals.
I learned that
any other vocal. Yeah,
I learned that lesson especially hard. Luckily, it wasn't on like too huge of a song, but I think it could have been. It was a song where this girl. It was like an emotional song. She was like literally crying while she was singing, and she was just like, "I just want to like sit on your couch here and just like sing it into the SM7." And mind you, that could have been part of the magic because she sold that vocal. It was like a very emotional song.
Yeah.
But fuck, it was so hard to get that vocal to sound good because she was singing so. It's not a good idea to sing quietly into an SM7.
No. And
I was fighting so much.
Fight it so hard. Yeah.
It's not worth it. Otherwise, I love this microphone. This is great for like. I really like it on acoustic guitar sometimes.
Oh, really?
It's like when it's not the main instrument.
What's your favorite mic for an acoustic guitar? Because I'm looking for a new mic.
Yeah, so I actually love my Flea 47 that I have there, but whatever. I'm weird. I actually like making acoustics with ribbons sometimes.
Yeah.
And then I have these AKG, I forget what they're called. All right, so the next plugin is Waves C6 multiband compressor.
I'd say plug.
Yeah. What are you mostly using that on?
Vocals. I actually probably use it very wrong. Like,
there's no wrong way to use a plugin.
There's no wrong. Yeah, I kind of just I've developed this like there's a specific frequency area. Mm-hmm. It's probably in like the 3K to like around 3K up. Mm-hmm. That it's just so harsh to me in so many things. And
Yeah.
the C6 is just throw on to just deal with that like a lot of times.
You know what you should use that does a very similar thing, but might actually do it better? Do you have the isotope ozone?
Yeah.
So you know their spectral shaper?
Yeah.
Try that.
Okay.
I say
Hot
we,
tip.
but Dave and I, mostly Dave, came up with this preset that we use on snares that kind of the same thing where it's like that 1 to 2K range where snares can sometimes get aggressive, and you throw that on there and you kind of bring it in, and it's just like, oh, it tames it.
I'll try that.
Yeah, you should try it. It's a great little plugin for that where like it's a little bit more specific than just that.
After all my templates, all I'm doing is just fighting those frequencies.
Yeah, it's funny. That's like, I think that's where producer's taste comes in.
Yeah,
where it's like some producers like love that in a vocal, and some producers I hate that. Get that out of there.
Yeah, no, I'm battling it.
Yeah,
the whole day.
That's so yeah. It's also that is the 103 a little bit too.
Yeah,
but I also love that microphone. You know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
This next plugin is a plugin that we ask every producer because it's so
controversial.
Yes, because it's so controversial.
Right.
Man, my brain was just not working there. CLA vocals.
I don't use it.
So have you never used it, or you just?
I remember it being part of that like pack that I got in the legal pack that I deleted. Yeah. But no, I never used it. Yeah.
It's one of those things where like people have such strong opinions on it.
Do you like it? I've considered getting it.
Not anymore.
No, okay.
So like it's so aggressive, and sometimes you want that. Now that I'm using a good chain and I want my vocals to sound the way that I want it to, I don't want that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it has a sound. It does a thing. Some people love it. Some people hate it.
I might try it.
I'm medium. I don't hate it, but I also don't love it. Last plugin, again for our listeners and for you, is a plugin that, and you might be the first one to throw me off here, but that are extremely widely used plugins that almost every producer should have used or has used. LFO Tool.
Oh, yeah, plug.
Yeah, there we go.
Easy. Yeah, no, I've used that one. That a lot.
Yeah,
I've actually used it less recently because I mainly kind of used it either for like making for sound design or mainly for like the sidechain and like the ability to play with the sidechain. I mean,
it's the easiest and best sounding sidechain to like just do it in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I've been using a different one that I kind of like for like the simple sidechain stuff. So then I stopped using LFO Tool as much, which is is it called something
Kickstart
or
something like that.
Yeah,
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Kickstart, which is great because you can kind of choose how much sidechain you want.
Right, and it just does the thing,
and it's it's super easy. Yeah. Sidechain plugin.
That's all I want with sidechain plugins. It's like unless I'm like going to take the time and like actually do like a sidechain to like my actual kick.
Yeah, like unless you want like LFO Tool is cool because you can make it do many weird things. Right?
Yeah, I like it. It's great when I have a hi-hat or a shaker and I want to add a little bit more movement to it.
Yeah, I use the kick thing for that too.
Right, yeah. It's really
Kickstarter.
Yeah, that's what I think people need to like also open up. Again, I'm talking about beginners where it's like mostly they're just using it for sidechain, but it's like it's got other creative functions too.
Oh yeah, no, like LFO Tool I use for synths and just making things go like
yeah, you can really
you can get really creative.
Yeah.
But
you dive into the whole thing and do it.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, we got to end here.
Good.
But you've been so amazing here, and man, you shared so many really cool tips and told me things about some of my favorite songs that I had no idea about. So thank you for sharing that and your wisdom and your insight on everything. Such a fun hang, and we'll see you later.
See you later. Thank you for having me.